now. We've learned some things. Apparently, some people had trouble getting in or got in late or whatnot. There will be a video that's going to go to the Stephen G YouTube channel. So, what did you do?
I was checking a notification. Why?
Well, it got quiet.
Didn't you notice that?
No, I didn't.
Can everybody hear Steph?
I'm guessing somebody turned off their microphone.
Maybe.
That would be my guess.
If everybody can hear Steph, can you please raise your hand or
something?
Yeah, no, we got one.
Okay.
Good.
Everybody,
We're good.
Okay, good. All right, great. So
You're just being
anyways,
critical of me.
well,
As
there
you
was
should.
noise and then there wasn't noise.
If I could just get to 25 cents an hour, this job would be worth it.
So, if you're in the room, if you would please turn the microphone off on whatever device you're using so that we aren't hearing all your background noise. Because, you know, if your phone rings like it's ringing right now, we can hear it. And not just I can hear it, but everybody can hear it. So it really kind of is disturbing. But anytime you want to ask a question or anything, I'm told there is a little thing that you can push that's right on the screen, and you should be able to ask a question, right, Dave?
The mic.
Little
you
mic
can
thing.
You can turn your mic on.
Oh,
I thought you just said there was a mic on the screen.
I said there's an icon on everybody's screen that looks like a microphone that if you touch it, it turns it off.
Okay, then that's what she's trying to tell them.
That's
Okay,
what I'm
well,
trying to
I
relay.
didn't understand the question because there's also some feature where they end up being half the screen. Only I don't remember what it was I read because I read so much stuff trying to figure this stuff out that
He's read so much stuff for 10 weeks now, and we're still a hot mess.
there's nothing you can do about it. They
So-
got to work on it.
Anyhow, and if you hear that annoying sound in the background, it's my husband and my children working outside the window. So we're going to just pretend they're not here like I do most every day. So it's just a little land of make-believe I live in. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So whoever's in the room, I'm happy you're here. If you didn't make it on whatever day that was, Sunday.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're here today. And I'm just going to do basically the same exact class that I did on Monday or Sunday because there were a lot of people who couldn't get in for whatever reason. So hopefully this time everybody gets in. So first things first, anytime you're free motion quilting, whether you're free motion quilting with templates or with just regular free motion quilting with your free motion foot, there's several things that you want to take into account. Okay, you want to make sure your feed dogs are down. So a lot of machines these days don't necessarily have the button underneath that you can that you push and get, you know, for them to go down. You may have to go into, if you've got a more electronic sewing machine, you may have to go into your settings to adjust, you know, your feed dogs there. You don't necessarily want to put your sewing machine in free motion mode. And we're going to talk more about that. Because the newer, fancier sewing machines with the automatic presser foot that raises and lowers, those machines, you do have to go into the settings, and typically it's called either the presser foot pressure or pivot height. You're going to adjust those two things according to how high or low you want your ruler foot to sit. Okay? So, and if you have questions after, I'm happy to answer them. You can send me an email, or you can send me a text, whatever. I'll answer, you know, individually because every machine is a little different. Okay? And obviously I'm not in your house with you. So, you know, we're going to have to do what we have to do. So getting started, you probably should already have your ruler foot and template set. Okay. And I'm going to take my foot back off so I can show you quickly a couple of things. I do have my feed dogs down. But your mini ruler foot, and this is the one I always tell people to start with because it truly is easier than it is with the larger size foot. So if you have a larger size foot, maybe from the manufacturer of your sewing machine, or maybe you've bought a Westerly, or even our 1/2 inch ruler foot, there's a bazillion different brands. The bigger your foot, obviously the bigger your template and the bigger your quilting is going to be. So this little tiny foot, your quilting is going to be a lot smaller, and hence your template smaller, so there's a lot less to maneuver at one time. Where if you're using a larger template and a larger foot, you have a lot more stuff that you have to move around all at one time. Okay, so this foot has an oval slot here. Now this is a short shank foot, because that's what my machine is. But we make 4 different shank heights, and then we even have a couple different adapters depending on what kind of machine you have. You may need an adapter for the foot to connect to. Bernina's one, for example. So now all I'm going to do is, there was a screw here in the needle bar right here, and you're going to take that out, and it will normally be connected to an ankle. So this little part here, that's called an ankle, and that ankle is what then is attached to a machine, and that's what allows us to, for the foot to come off, and you can snap different ones on. So you're going to take that whole assembly off, all of it, okay? Now you're going to have your screw that's just hanging loose here. We're going to slide it through that little ovally slot, and I'm going to put that back through that screw hole, all right? Now, adjusting your foot to the right height, this is where things start to really matter, okay? You don't want to necessarily make sure it's all the way to the top, because this will go up or down accordingly, and then you're going to tighten your screw whatever height you really want it to be at, okay? So, and I always tell everybody to make sure when you're doing that, you take a piece of, well, not just a piece of fabric, but a quilt sandwich, both layers, your back, your middle, and your top, put it underneath your foot, okay?
Didn't you wax your bed first?
Well, I'm going to get to that. It doesn't matter if you wax it before you put your foot on. It just matters that you wax it before you start quilting. So, now we're going to go ahead and we're going to put our foot down. And that allows my foot to go to the right height, because it's going to hover right above that quilt sandwich. And then I'm going to tighten the screw, okay? So now, once I tighten this, if I can get my screwdriver in the slot, there we go. So now you can see this slides really nice and easily, and I have no real pressure on the quilt itself, all right? So that's that. Another thing that we're gonna do before you wax is you're gonna take out these screws here, and you're gonna I use one of these little cleaning brushes, if I can get a hold of one. And I clean out all the little dust bunnies in there. If you don't, I'm not gonna say that it's not gonna sew for you, you're gonna be able to quilt, but sometimes you'll get these little dust bunnies stitched to the backs of your quilts. So we want to avoid that. Nobody wants to pick that out. So anyway, so I just use that. And the other thing that I'm going to tell you to do, your mom, if you ever used your mom's sewing machine, and they always told you weren't allowed to touch the tension of anything, because you know what happens. I'll never be able to get it back to where it was. It'll be screwed up forever. I'll have to take it to the repair guy. It's coming out of your allowance. All those things. I'm going to tell you to loosen your bobbin tension 1/4 of a turn. So in the instructions, it said to bring a little tiny screwdriver. So this little tiny screwdriver, if your bobbin case is like this and it's a drop in, you're going to want to go to this side, and there is a little screw right there. And you're going to want to turn that 1/4 of a turn. So turn it to the left, so counterclockwise, 1/4 of a turn. It's not going to hurt anything. It's not going to really affect your regular sewing tension at all. Once you do it, you can leave it forever. It won't hurt a thing at all. But you're going to want to do that. Now, if you have a bobbin case that's like this, so it's a front load machine, you're going to come over here and there's 2 screws. There's a little teeny tiny one and there's one that's a little bit bigger. You're going to want to loosen that screw a quarter of a turn. And the same thing, it's not going to affect anything as far as your regular sewing tension. It's just going to give you a lot more leeway if you need to adjust your tensions on the top of your machine, okay? So don't be afraid. It'll be okay, I promise. And if your mom comes over, you can change hers for her because she's scared. Okay? So now that we've done that, the next step is turtle wax. Now this is a lot of information, okay? And with your beginner set, you should have a tips and tricks sheet. If you don't have one, please email me. I will happily email it to you so you can print it yourself. But I mean, it's 2 pages basically, front and back, of all kinds of tips that are going to make your life a lot easier. This is just turtle car wax. Okay, it's nothing super exciting, but it works really well. Some of you may have a Supreme slider, they call them, for the bed in the throat of your sewing machine. If you have one, you're more than what, you can use it. But the goal is this needs to be really slick, okay? So I always use the wax because, first of all, I don't have to worry about it moving around like the sliders. I've had ladies sew them to their quilts. That would make me very upset if I did that. So the goal is not to rip out the quilting once you put it in. So sewing through your slider is not a good thing. So I use turtle wax. You're just going to rub it on all over through the throat of your machine, any extension table you may have. You're going to use the car wax on. You're going to put it on, you're going to wait for it to dry, and you're going to take it back off, okay? And you're just going to buff it off with like one of those microfiber cloths or something like that, a rag. I've used batting, whatever you've got laying around. It's fine. It doesn't have to be anything special, all right? But it's going to make this really slick. People always ask me, how do you know when you need to put more wax on? You'll know. There won't be a doubt in your mind that you need more wax. I think you'll start to feel drag. It just won't be moving as, smoothly as it was. You'll know. There won't, it'll be obvious. Okay. So those things, I mean, really, 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 really important as far as getting started with free motion quilting with templates, because you want to make this as simple as humanly possible. And we're our own worst enemies. We overthink everything. So we want to make sure that we are working on that. Now, Dave told me I shouldn't have this list, but I can't remember anything, so I'm using the list.
Hang on 1 second. So in the world of overthinking everything,
Yes.
does it have to be turtle wax or can it be a different brand?
No, it can be a different brand. It can be whatever. Just a paste wax of some kind. I've heard of people using paste wax that was actually for furniture, and it was fine. Last Sunday,
Wax
Sometimes.
Sunday, anyways, somebody said they had turtle wax on their list to pick up, but they hadn't got any, and she was having a hard time, and I told her to go to the cabinet and get some wax paper. I said, well, crinkle it up and rub it all over the bed of your sewing machine. She said, oh, the difference was huge. It was amazing. So whatever works. I live in the country. We don't run to the store for everything because the store is 30 miles from home. So you don't just get in the car and go. You
Plan.
Yeah, you plan things out. Yes,
No, I
Dave?
do.
Yeah, Dave does. But he's not used to being a country guy yet.
And he goes to the
But
store 3 times a week.
he'll
just
get
to
there.
escape us.
He'll get there, but he's not there yet.
We just lost a feed. You got a phone call even though I put this on airplane mode.
Oh. No.
Yeah.
Can you get back?
Justin Farrell.
He's going to keep calling.
I have to tell him I'm teaching a class.
It's on airplane mode.
Hold on.
It might be an emergency number that comes through even if you're on an airplane mode.